Hi, everybody. Mike Riley here, Cleveland real estate investor. January 26th. It is a freezer here in Cleveland, literally. We got Sophie, our real estate guru, whose pipes are frozen, right,
Yep,
Sophie?
exactly. So much fun.
Right. I like your hat there on the
Yeah,
screen.
yes. I thought about wearing a baseball
Is
cap.
is that a dunce cap or what? You know?
Right. It feels like it today.
Yeah, I know. And Brooke recovering from the flu. He's sounding like RFK Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
last
hope
week was
that.
bad. Yeah, no, you were really doing your RFK Jr.
Yeah.
last week. What a knucklehead. Well, I guess I'm betraying my politics here, but
Mhm.
let's stick to business. And the real estate market is not white hot like it was 2 years ago or a year ago. So, Sophie, give us the latest temperature check.
Yeah, so 2025, definitely the closed units were down quite a bit. But the medium in our county, the median home price only went down 1% year over year when you look at the average. So that wasn't too bad. We were one of the more resilient markets nationally. We are expecting 2026 to be better. And what does that mean, right? We are expecting probably about 10% more closed units. It's balancing out the market as more properties are coming on the market. It's better for the buyers. They have a little bit more leverage to negotiate terms, to not forgo inspections, which I never recommend they do, and to also ask for seller concessions. So it's not going to be a buyer's market per se, but it's going to feel like it because we've been in such a strong seller's market that it's
Right,
going to feel like that, but it's not.
right.
Yeah, it definitely
So,
felt that way when we were going through, um, the property we sold on
Mhm.
Northwood.
Mhm.
It was, I could definitely feel a vibe that was different than like 9 months ago,
Mhm.
where we were dictating more of the terms.
Mhm.
This time around, it was a lot more like we have to be willing to give some stuff up.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that's spot on.
The thing is,
Sophie, we also, I hadn't really had a chance to talk to you about it, but we also sold this very unusual investment, Staunton,
mhm.
our doctor in
Mhm.
Kentucky, who we've been kind of managing his property on autopilot for the last 4 or 5 years. Um, but I mean, we really got hammered by the city unexpectedly with point of sale.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, he still did well on the
Mhm.
sale, but still, should we have held off on that sale?
No, so the thing with the city, right, with COVID, they were barely doing any inspections. They hired that out. If
Right.
you had, an agent like myself who knew these inspectors, for the most part, we were just like, they didn't really hassle us too much. They weren't
Yeah.
trying to get in the way of, um, yeah, work. And they knew it was just the two of them they had to do re-inspections. It was just a lot of work. And now the cities have rehired a lot of inspectors in-house. And they are definitely being much more detail oriented. And they're not letting things slide at all,
Right.
even in Cleveland Heights. And so that's also a difference, right? Like we just got used to with the point of sale, it just being easy. And so it's shocking sellers and agents as well.
Now, did that Staunton buyer, did they bring in their own inspector?
They did. Mhm.
Okay, so what do we need the city for? I mean
That's a
that's
very good question.
yeah, the point of sale. We got two inspectors.
Mhm.
Talk about the age of trying to find the sweet spot between deregulating and regulating, and you know, I mean, are the private inspectors seeing the same thing the city, or is the city going a little overboard?
I think the city sometimes is going overboard, with just minor things. If you have a light fixture that's not working, could be a light bulb. They flag it, right?
Yeah, and
And
they'll like they'll say like make like fixture operable, check wires, and I remember that happened at Northwood, and I just turned the light bulb, and I was like, well, that's done.
right. And so those are things if you did not have a point of sale inspection and you had a regular home inspector, they probably would check the light bulb, right? And it's not something that a buyer would ask for. They would say, okay, let me just, the faucet is dripping. Let me just, that's part of my maintenance of the house, little things that I will do, right? They don't get into the details. It's more, they'll look at items, health and safety, things that are material, not minor maintenance. And with the city, some of these things are minor maintenance.
Yeah, I would say too. Um, I mean, I have a couple things. So one, the good thing about a buyer's inspection is you can negotiate it.
Hmm.
With the city, there's really no negotiating, unless it's a very like, specific situation. Like we had a situation at Northwood where they wanted the whole driveway replaced. We have a really good reputation at the city. We met with the inspectors and said, hey, look, our idea is going to be this. Will this fly? And they'll be like, yeah, that
Hmm.
should work. The one thing I wish would happen if point of sale was still, I mean, it's going to be here, is I wish it was consistent from city to city,
Hmm.
where it was more of like whether you're selling in East Cleveland, University Heights, Cleveland Heights. If there was a way to really like get these cities like on the same page of like
Hmm.
what is an actual violation and then getting specific more when you actually type out the violation to be as specific as possible.
Hmm.
That
I
was a
agree
problem
too.
yeah, I mean, that was a problem we ran into with our houses we sold in East Cleveland was
Hmm.
they didn't get specific. So it was kind of at our discretion of, you know, what we're going to do. And I learned after selling my house in East Cleveland a couple of years ago, when we sold our other houses this past fall, was I brought the inspector back out and I just said, hey, I'm closing in 2 weeks. I don't want delays. I need you to point out what is, a trip hazard. And he was like, okay, I got you. Do this one, and this one. So I think you kind of learn, as you go through um, with these cities. But I wish there was a way to just make it, a consistent type
Hmm.
of format throughout.
Well, what's upsetting to me about point of sale, I want to loop back to Staunton, Sophie, um, is what is the point of doing point of sale if all around this one house there's a half a dozen vacant, sloppy looking houses?
Hmm.
I mean, what is the reason behind point of sale? Is it to maintain the housing stock? Well, if you're maintaining the housing stock, uh, like in Cleveland Heights, you got 400 homes that are vacant.
Hmm.
That garbage is, all around the house. I mean, that's ruining the housing stock.
Hmm.
But I think people are just, you know, human nature, I've noticed as I've gotten older, is people just cling to what's always been done.
Hmm.
Okay. So, and this is where, we talked earlier on one podcast about why are you going to college?
Hmm.
What is the point?
That was actually a Wall Street Journal article this week. Is it
Yeah.
worth it?
Is it worth it?
Hmm.
I mean, you can do an internship, a couple different internships. There's a lot of different ways. You could hire a consultant
Hmm.
who could guide your education process. But college, point of sale,
Hmm.
I mean, college is supposed to get you a job, right?
Hmm.
That's why people go to college. They
Right.
figure I'm going to spend a lot of money. I'm going to get into a good Ivy League school. I'm going to get in that networking and I'm going to get my MBA. Or I'm going to become a lawyer or whatever. And then they think they're going to graduate and boom, the ticket's ready to get punched. It's not getting punched.
Hmm.
The highest rate of unemployment is right now is with college graduates.
Right.
And the same thing goes with point of sale. If your role of point of sale is to maintain the housing stock, then why aren't you addressing the 400 vacant homes in the city?
Mhm. And they're supposed to, right? They're supposed to do, even if it's not an investment property, every 3 years, they're supposed to inspect the exterior of homes and, you know, get the owners to bring it up to code. But they're not really doing that
They're
either.
not doing that.
Mhm.
It's, you know what? It's too hard to do that. It takes
Mhm.
too much. Like it's easy to go to college
Mhm.
because you delude yourself that, um, oh yeah, well he's in college. You just there is this illusion that you're on a track going somewhere, and you're not.
Right.
When you go through point of sale, there's an illusion that you're maintaining housing stock. But at the end of the day, if you have a goal and a metric that I want this community, I want to drive around this community and I want the storefronts and I want the houses looking good. I don't want it to feel like it's a ghetto,
Right.
two cars parked on the front yard,
Mhm.
right? And a bunch of dump trucks in the backyard. I mean, just obvious. This just looks like a ghetto. The kind of stuff you wouldn't see in Pepper Pike,
Right.
you're seeing in Cleveland Heights.
Mhm.
So they're not reaching their goal.
Mhm.
And if everybody's bringing their own inspector in, buyers are bringing their own inspector in. So what do you need the city for?
Mhm. I
Okay.
agree. And that is an argument that a lot of people are making. But then, like you say, people just kind of do things the way that it's been done. I was told a long time ago, people don't know what they want what they know, right? And it gives them a sense of security that somebody's looking at this, somebody's going to take care of it. But I think whenever we rely on government to make sure everything's okay, regulation, they're not meant to be efficient. So it's a very inefficient way to do that.
Right. But and that's how cities slide.
Mm-hmm.
Cities slide because that's what happened with East Cleveland.
Hmm.
Cleveland Heights has been on, certain parts of Cleveland Heights are more becoming like East Cleveland. Other areas like Fairmont Cedar, you know, are
Hmm.
thriving. Uh, Taylor and Fairmont, we're on the rises, and Gigi's, the Royal Heights, just booming. So it's like the tale of two cities
Hmm.
in Cleveland Heights, and
It is.
it all gets to housing, and it all gets to retail,
Hmm.
because retail is connected to housing.
Hmm.
There's no vacant, lousy houses in the Royal Heights. I
Right.
drive up and down those streets all the time.
Hmm.
There's not one bad house on those streets. And you've got a thriving retail. This is
Hmm.
not rocket science. The other thing is do properties really make money? Are properties a good investment? I mean, look at our guy on Staunton.
Hmm.
What, 20K on the point of sale?
Hmm.
What was the number he had to pay? He went from we owed him money to
Hmm.
he
Yeah,
had
it
to
was
write
like
us a
20.
check.
Yeah, the repairs and all that were about 20 grand. Hmm. And
Look at
some of
our
that,
guy.
I'm sure it's just getting the house ready from having tenants to showing ready, but that's like a very small fraction.
Right. Now,
Hmm.
should have we gone back to the buyer and simply said, "Hey, the city's just hammered us
Hmm.
on point of sale." I mean, they're coming up with stuff left and right. I think we're going to have to pull this off the market and wait for the spring market and
Hmm.
reset the price. What's your thoughts?
So the problem with this is that we're finding buyers are very shifty, right? They're having a hard time committing. And I actually read an article saying that right now we have the highest levels of buyers pulling out of deals than we have had in a long, like a years,
Whoops.
years and years, right? So as a seller, what you don't want to do is spook the buyers, right? Because as soon,
Parkland. Parkland.
exactly. It's really hard. Like I have a listing in South Euclid, really cute house, but The details weren't quite redone. We told them before we put on the market, like it'll be fine. And one of the things was they had had a leak from the second floor bathroom and they fixed it and they painted, but they didn't use the oil-based paint and the stain, water stain came through again. And you have no idea how many and I keep telling them, you need to do this, handle this. Like, oh, we'll get to it, blah, blah, blah. And so many agents said it freaked out my buyer. They don't want this house. I'm like, it's a paint stain. Like, I'm sure that the inspector will use a moisture reader up there and show you that there's no moisture. You cannot get people, as soon as they've decided no, you cannot get them back. Like, it's
That's why, our best purchases were purchases where all the buyers were spooked.
hmm
That's
I
our
agree. The
that's
problem
our bread and
property.
butter.
hmm
Parkland.
Yeah.
Parkland.
hmm
No, I mean Parkland, what that price start out at? 675?
Yeah.
And now it's down to 575?
Something like that. Yes.
And it's been sitting there how long now?
I mean, they pulled it off the market, but it's been months and months. I mean, she had an offer last summer that she turned down and she wishes she hadn't.
Yeah, there you go.
Mhm.
There you go. Well, I think that brings up another thing about on our Cleveland real estate investor dealing with realtors, and we really love working with you.
Thank
Is a lot of realtors are not good salespeople.
Mhm.
They just show a house.
Yeah,
They
they're
show
more
they
like
play.
transaction managers.
Yeah, yeah.
hmm
They're not selling. They're not, meeting objections, closing. To them, every house is the same.
hmm
But if we want to get back into buying property, we're
hmm
going to buy properties that all the buyers are running away from.
Yeah.
Okay, that's our bread and butter because we have a
hmm
contracting company.
Right.
We can roll in there,
hmm
we can fix it up. Um, so now, what about invest? How's your investors doing?
They're good. They're buying. A lot of investors are buying.
Are they making money?
They are, I mean, the way that they are looking at it is kind of different from people like us who've been in it for a long time, right? They're looking at their cash on cash. And so, when you're borrowing, you're highly leveraged, you can end up with a 14% cash on cash, right? And they'll never look at the house. They're just workhorses for them, and that's all they care about is their deductions and the cash on cash return.
Can you
Uh,
elaborate on cash on cash?
so it's the difference when you look at a cap rate, right? You calculate what your profit is as if you had no mortgage.
Right,
So you paid 100% out of pocket, and so your return is on the full cost of the house. When you have a mortgage and you put 20% down,
right,
maybe you're making 9% return if you had paid for it cash, but because you're only paying the bank 7%, you're making 2% profit on the bank's 80%.
right. Okay,
And so your return on the 20% that you put in is much higher because you're making the 2% return on the bank's 80%. And that's how your return on investment grows, but you're highly leveraged. And, we know because we not only survived but thrived in 2008 is that you can't be overly leveraged because then you can't absorb any of the bumps in the road that inevitably come with investment real estate.
right. And that's what our guy Jeff in Washington, he's been selling off some of his properties because, the expenses are just killing him.
You're right.
You got a
And so,
vacant house, and then on top of no income, he's got a mortgage,
Mhm,
and every time he turns around, he's got to do something to the house.
yeah,
Pipes just exploded,
yeah,
right? In the
mhm,
winter, it's 0 degrees.
yeah,
Who's watching the house?
right.
Who's turning the water off?
Mhm. And they're not doing that for free.
Yeah,
And so, that's the other part of the question is, are investors making money and what are investors doing? The investors who've been investing for a long time, a lot of them are calling me to sell. They're tired of the added regulations. Now Cleveland Heights is adopting the lead safe. You have to do
oh
an
no.
inspection every 3 years.
Oh,
Like it's just they're just sick and tired of it. They're just, and especially, with property taxes being over 4% in Cleveland Heights, it's just, they're done. They're just like, it's not worth it to me. I just want to sell. Even if they're making some money, the difference in that experience is just really taking any enjoyment and desire to continue out of the equation.
Well, that's what we're hearing. I'm hearing in some quarters. Brooke, well, our mutual friend John Schloss, I met him in our investment guy, I met him at skating club, and he was talking to the owner of On the Rise.
Mm-hmm.
He plays tennis with. The
Mm-hmm.
guy's name, Jeff, or somebody introduced me, and of course, I'm a big supporter of On the Rise, great store,
A
I
great
agree.
turkey sandwich.
tur turkey sandwich, and but Jeff was let's say he was talking. He's like Jim, who owns Gigi's next door.
Mm-hmm.
They're not singing the praises of Cleveland Heights and how they're getting treated as a
Mm-hmm.
business.
Right.
It's just endless loops. And I'm going to put my name in for council. We'll see if
Oh,
they
good.
want some old white guy,
Mm-hmm.
you know. But I'm going to represent the longtime Heights resident who's has a lot of experience, probably the most experience at housing and vacant housing and real estate and talk about business. And, I mean, Cleveland Heights needs to get more business friendly. And that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean you give away the store, but it's like,
Right.
hey, how about thinking outside the box here?
Mm-hmm.
Do we really have to do X? I
Mm-hmm.
mean, getting into the lead inspection, what is that about? Why don't you just have the buyer beware, run
Mm-hmm.
a lead test when you buy the house, right?
So the lead inspection is only for investment properties, right?
Okay,
And they're doing that because so many
okay,
kids have,
I hear you.
yeah, which makes sense. But at the same time, again, they taking it so far. I had a house in Cleveland and I had a tenant in there with Section 8. And so they do their own. So I have lead inspection, then Section 8 does their inspection. And if you have a crack in the ceiling, not peeling paint, but a crack in the paint in a closet, you fail the inspection. And they were constantly going to the house because she was like, oh, I saw something. Ooh, I saw something over here. Finally, I'm like, you know what? I'm not fixing it. I am not painting the ceiling of the closet. And they're like, well, she's going to have to move by the end of the month. I'm like, the cheapest
Move.
and fastest
Yeah,
eviction ever. And then I sold the house. I'm like, I'm not dealing with this. It
yeah.
was a good moneymaker, but the hassle and the frustration was so aggravating.
Well,
I'm
you
like, I'm
kind of
not doing
wonder, like we're dealing with John, our investment
that.
guy. If we put $200,000 in an investment account,
Hmm.
6%,
Hmm.
I'm happy.
Hmm.
200,000, 6%, and I have no work I need to worry about,
Right.
right?
No surprise expenses,
Right,
no frozen pipes, no
right.
tenants who don't get along because parking or whatever.
Last year at this time, how many houses did we have vacant in January? 10,
Yeah,
8,
we had 12, so I think we had like 8 or 9.
8
Wow.
or 9
Hmm.
vacant. Let's do the math on what the utilities would have been
Right.
when it's 5 below,
Hmm.
right? You got to keep the heat on, right?
Right.
So we're
Five,
talking
5 grand.
five
Hmm.
grand,
Hmm.
4 to 5 grand.
Hmm.
Plus, I got to send guys out to check the house.
Hmm.
So let's just round it out in terms of labor. That's 5 grand
Hmm.
negative. That's pulling down the net profit we're making on the houses that are rented.
Hmm.
Why do I need this headache?
I'm asking
I mean,
myself the same question.
why? Okay, Sophie, look at why are we going to college?
Hmm.
Why are we owning real estate as an investment?
Hmm.
Buy gold.
Yeah.
Trump's
Well, right
president,
now.
buy gold.
Yes.
Really? You
Hmm.
know, college savings plan. I got a
Hmm.
college savings plan for you.
Hmm.
Don't send them to college.
Right.
I'll save you a lot of money.
Yes, for sure.
Really? What else, Brooke? I should say RFK Jr.
No, I mean, I think we touched on a lot of relevant topics. So,
Yeah, I really think, Sophie, that you get a lot of people like Jeff in Washington who are now selling their furnished houses. Let's
Hmm.
talk about selling, you know what, cashing out on your Airbnb.
Hmm.
A lot of Airbnb in Cleveland Heights, a
Oh my
lot more
goodness.
than it was 5 years ago.
And it's dead. The market is dead for Airbnb. I mean, not like down to zero, but it's really a fight. Whereas before it was rented, it was easygoing. I have clients who have completely redone places, gorgeous, you name it. Like I would go live there and zero interest right now. I think the next guest is coming in March.
Yeah.
And again, they have to heat. They have to have somebody go over there and check on the property. And finally, they were just like, okay, kept asking for updates, updates. I'm like, nope, no reservations, no inquiries, none of this. We dropped the price for like $40 a night, like ridiculous.
40 a night.
Nothing. Like we
Wow.
tried because they have different units. I'm like, let me try all different price points, right? Nothing, no interest. And so they're selling it.
Yeah. So
Furnished.
the
Mhm.
market will start correcting, right?
Mhm.
We're going to get a lot of people out of Airbnb and the market will kind of start settling in, right?
Yeah,
The market is what the market is,
it is. Yeah. And you
right?
have to always adjust, and it's the ones who aren't reading the tea leaves who are left hand, just in a bad situation. Whether it's you have long-term tenants and you didn't realize last year that the prices were not going up and that tenants were negotiating little things and you were just holding fast to know this is how it's always been. I've never had
Hey,
to reduce. They're still vacant.
right. It's like Parkland. She got
Hmm.
an offer
Hmm.
6 months ago.
Yeah,
She's holding to that offer, right?
yeah.
Okay. Even though nobody is coming at that
Anywhere
price.
close
In
to it.
fact, the price is dropping,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
But she's clinging to that. And that's what happened with there's a guy, I forget his name, real good guy. He's doing all these podcasts where he's walking around talking. Why did Blockbuster
Oh, yeah. Hmm.
fail? I don't know the guy's name, but more
Hmm.
and more. He's doing 15-minute, 10-minute.
Hmm.
Why did
Hmm.
this company fail? And it's always the same. They're not waking up and smelling the coffee.
Hmm.
It's a different time. That's again, that's what college is. My wife hates me. Once again, Mike talking, one topic 200 times as
Hmm.
opposed to talking about 200 topics. It's one topic. But it's a metaphor.
Hmm.
It's a metaphor for being aware that things have changed.
Hmm.
Things are changing.
Hmm.
Working remote, working Zoom, having people in the Philippines handling your business, uh, getting out, getting out of this, getting out of VHS and DVDs because everything's getting streamed now.
Right.
Are you are you aware of the changing dynamics?
Hmm.
So, and that's what real estate is.
Hmm.
So you're going to see, correct to say, you're going to see more homes coming to market from investors. I
I
want
think so,
out.
yes. So you have some of that, and then you also are going to have people who are selling because they're moving. It was their, primary residence, or they are getting a bigger house, and they have a certain idea of what their house should be worth. And then they're not going to sell their house because they can't adjust to the market. And then they will become accidental landlords. Like the one guy who, he's telling me been trying to sell his house for 3 months. He won't listen to anything. And he just sent me a message saying, hey, because there's little interest. I'm like, no, no, there's interest. We've had 49 showings, one a day in January on average. In this mess, we're still getting 30 showings in a month. We're not getting offers because it's not worth what you want for the location, the
How
quality of
far
the
off is he?
workmanship, the size. Yeah,
How far off is he? Should he drop it by how much?
I would say he probably at this point, because he's waited so long, probably needs to drop it 15,000.
Okay. How much is well, I mean, what's the asking number?
He's at 230.
Wow, 230.
Mhm. Mhm.
Okay. Does he live on Northwood?
Nope, he's in South Euclid.
South Euclid. Okay.
But it's not his home. He's actually an investor. He's a flipper.
Okay.
So,
Hey, he's got to make his number.
yeah, I understand,
Yeah,
but
he fixed it all up. His number's there. Hey, I put 100 in and I bought it for 120 and I need to get 230. Well,
yeah,
sometimes you lost money, right?
yeah, exactly. So now he's thinking, well, maybe I'll rent it and then I'll sell it next year. I'm like, okay, your house is not going to look like this anymore next year.
Yeah. And then think about the holding costs.
Hmm.
You hold that each month. What's
Hmm.
the holding cost? Taxes,
Hmm.
insurance,
Hmm.
utilities. What was it,
Hmm.
1,000 a month?
Easily. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he'll
So,
have to do a new point of sale if he waits till next year. And it's just like all these other things. But people, and that's the issue, right? Like people have a really hard time adjusting and they don't want to see the data and they don't want to listen to anything that doesn't fit what they think it is or what they think it should be.
okay. All right. So why do you take them on as clients?
So he's a long-term client of mine.
Okay. All
And
right.
this is, yes. And so, and typically, the quality of the workmanship is really good. I don't know what happened to the team, but this one is not. It's not as good as it was. And so, and I keep telling him, I keep sending videos and so on, but he's not local.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, they told me they did this. I'm like, I'm sending you the videos.
Whoop,
You can
whoop,
shake the
whoop.
shower head. This is not normal.
Well, I think that's another new factor that's being introduced. Immigration's down.
Mhm. Yeah.
I mean, it's a lot harder to get these houses fixed up with the same crew from Mexico because they're not coming up.
Hmm.
What, I'm going to come up and get picked up on the street? Even though I got a temp visa, I'm all good. I mean, it's a whole shifting. There's so many minefields out there now.
Hmm.
Um,
Although
well,
they did think that the student visas were going to be down. And our clients, we have a lot of clients who have investment properties by Case Western, and I have
uh,
entire
whoop,
houses of students.
whoops.
No,
Yeah.
it did not affect them at all. Not down at all. We did not have one vacancy because of it. They all came like their visas, no issues.
Wow.
Um, but that was a big scare. That was a big scare for them.
Well, I think on the immigration front with Obama's guy Tom Homan's coming in, taking over from that Nazi
Hmm.
Ovino, you're going to see a process of correction in
Hmm.
immigration. I
Hmm.
think it's not going to get as extreme. The Stephen Millers will have been marginalized.
Hmm.
Business is starting to scream. They can't get workers.
Hmm.
Iowa farmers, they can't get anybody out to work. So again, the market is going to correct itself.
Hmm.
Airbnb, they're
Yeah.
going to sell off. You're going to have less Airbnb. So you have to be, you know what? Just because you go to college, just because you own property, that doesn't mean anything.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, is it working or is it not working?
Right. And the market's always right.
Yeah,
It doesn't care what you did, what you thought, what you spent.
right, right. Well, Brooke, you're pretty quiet. We ready to wrap this up? Do you final thoughts?
No, no final thoughts. I think Sophie, I mean, I was going to basically say what you just ended with. I mean, the market is what the market is. You got to
Hmm.
deal with it. You got to adjust to it. Um, I'm sure in your position, it can be really frustrating when you have clients who think they're smarter than you.
Hmm.
Um, we
That's
deal with
supposed
that
that's supposed to be your
sometimes with
daughter,
customers.
Sophie.
Yes.
What's that line we used at Cleveland Browns podcast? Uh, the most important thing is to learn after you think you know it all.
Right.
How's that line go, Brooke? We used it on. I don't want any young whiz kid head coach. I
Hmm.
want somebody who's made his share mistakes,
Hmm.
coming back, and has the capability to grow and learn from their mistakes,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. I know,
So,
because you think about it, then the other team has paid for, their education, so to speak. Like we all learn,
right.
hopefully, from the experiences we've had. So yeah, I agree. I think I will remember when I was younger, I was 19, I'm sitting at the dinner table with my parents, and I remember vividly thinking, thank goodness I'm not old because they don't know anything. I will always remember having like this very vivid thought, and now it's just like, oh my gosh, I knew nothing. I knew absolutely
Right,
nothing.
right, right, right. Getting of wisdom. That's what it
Yeah.
is. Well, my final thought to wrap this all up is, okay, so the investment play now, is the investment play to be a buyer of a property you can flip?
It can be, right? This is a one of
What is
those
the number
situations.
one? I'm sorry, let me correct that.
Mhm.
What is the number one category you're looking for if you want to get into property? Yeah, I'm not going to buy a property to do Airbnb, right? Check.
Right.
That we're not doing that, okay?
Mhm.
Um, I'm going to buy a property to rent. Um,
Yeah, so I probably for me, right? Like having had the experience of 26 years going through different things, I went through a phase where I was, buying a lot of properties that were in bad shape, holding them as rentals, and then waiting until the market changed and then selling them,
right,
right? And
which is what we did.
right, exactly. And I feel like we might be heading back a little bit into that area where doing something like that is better than just buying something to buy and hold for the long term. Because I think properties are still very expensive, investment properties. All of this regulation, all the taxes, all the insurance just really cuts into the profitability. So I'm looking for something that is value add that I can either, if the market is really great in the spring, I can sell now, or it's in a great location where I can get somebody coming in for a year or two, a fellow with a family, or not just a fellow, or somebody's just coming in for a year, professional, not going to put a lot of wear and tear on the house, and then see if I do that for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and then sell it.
Right. What do you think, Brooke? What's the
Yeah, I
play?
mean, no, I think the play is, well, it's definitely not short term. Um,
Yeah.
I would say it's more like if it were me, I would be looking at a long-term rental in a neighborhood that in 3, 4, 5 years you can sell it and make a profit.
Mhm.
You're looking at those neighborhoods that, you
Yeah,
know,
they're on the upside. They're coming up.
yeah, that would
Um,
really be my, I mean, besides like price and what the condition of the house is, how much I have to put in. I think neighborhood is
Mhm.
definitely at the top of my list.
well,
100%.
We know the Royal Heights in Cleveland Heights is at its top, right?
Yeah.
But let's think about how we invest in the stock market, where there is a whole allocate reallocation now in different sectors. A lot of people are getting spooked with AI. It had a big run up. People start realizing, wait a minute, it's going to be a lot of when is this sector going to actually make money? That could be
Mhm.
10 years off. And the investments are being under appreciated in terms of infrastructure, electricity, electrical usage, et cetera, et cetera. So you're having a lot of people, and I believe this, getting out of AI, the Mag 7 stocks, and they're getting into underappreciated
Mhm.
stocks, more nuts and bolts. And I think that same thing applies with properties. I think the play is to buy a property that's been just overpriced, like Parkland, right?
Mhm.
They got greedy. The markets keeps hitting them over the head. They're getting punch drunk. Now you can come in with an all cash offer,
Mhm.
swoop in and buy a somewhat distressed property,
Mhm.
right? Um, do what needs to be done. I mean, Parkland's a great model because it needs $150,000 worth of work.
Mm-hmm.
But once it's there,
Hmm.
then we can get our money back plus the
Right.
flip profit. But you have to be smart about it.
Mhm.
You know, you
You
have to
do.
be selective about what you're buying. It's like buying stocks now.
Mhm.
You know, you just can't, buy an ETF in the Mag Sevens.
Mhm.
Um, so that would be my play. Look for the Parklands. They
Mhm.
made a mistake. They didn't listen to Sophie. They're
Mhm.
determined, now it's on the market for 6 months. Now there's a little bit of a stink about the property.
Mhm. Yeah.
So maybe that's the play.
Mhm. It is,
So,
but typically, when you go from sellers to balanced, you typically go into the buyer's market. And the reason is that when it's a seller's market, all these buyers are stay on the sideline and then they say, I'm going to wait until it's a buyer's market.
right,
But then when it shifts, they're uncomfortable and they're unwilling to catch a falling knife,
right,
right? So we tell them, like, okay, especially if you're buying long term, this is the market you were looking for. This is
right.
exactly what you were waiting for. But now that it's here, because not as many people are buying, you're unsure of yourself and you want validation you're doing the right thing. And so as more and more people wait, you get more and more into a buyer's market.
Yeah, Groucho Marx. I wouldn't want to be a member of a club that would have me as a member,
Hmm. Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, let's conclude it there. We'll pick it up next month. Meanwhile, we're going to talk next week about okay, you're holding a property. What do you do? What do
Hmm.
you do if you got a vacant property?
Right.
What do you do?
Very
That's
important, especially with the winter we're having.
yeah, brutal. We
Hmm.
haven't had this winter in a long time.
Yeah.
So, all right, we'll end it here. All right, thanks
All right.
everybody.
Thanks,
All right.
guys.
Okay.
Thanks. See you.